René Descartes, a 17th-century philosopher, wanted an unshakable foundation for knowledge. To find it, he doubted everything. In his famous Meditations, he even treated all sensory experiences, the sky, the earth, colors, and shapes, as potential illusions. He asked, what if every bit of information you get from your senses is false? He posed three big challenges. Sensory illusions. What if your eyes are deceiving you right now? Even simple optical illusions can trick your vision. Dream skepticism. How can you know you aren't dreaming this very moment? Dreams can feel completely real until you wake up. Evil demon. What if an all-powerful deceiver is misleading you about everything, even the laws of math? Imagine an architect clearing away sand to find solid bedrock. Descartes did the same with his beliefs, tossing aside anything shaky to see what remained. It's extreme doubt, but it prepares us to see how easily our brains can be fooled. Checker shadow illusion. Take a look at the checkerboard squares labeled A and B. They look different, right? In fact, they are exactly the same shade of gray. The green cylinder's shadow makes B appear lighter to your brain. Our visual system automatically discounts shadows to keep colors consistent, and this illusion exploits that. It shows that you're not seeing pure reality, you're seeing the brain's interpretation of it. Our brains also love patterns. We often see familiar shapes in randomness, a phenomenon called pareidolia. For example, people see faces in clouds or the man in the moon. These examples remind us that the truth we perceive is influenced by expectations and experience. Calf wall illusion. Notice the horizontal lines between the rows of black and white tiles. They appear to tilt and curve, but in fact they are perfectly parallel. This happens because our visual cortex processes the alternating edges in a way that shifts the lines. Essentially, the staggered pattern tricks your eye. Again, this shows our vision is constructive. The brain is actively interpreting what we see. Motion illusion. Now focus on the black dot on the left while the rectangle on the right moves. It looks like the rectangle is drifting diagonally, but in reality it's moving straight up and down. The moving dot draws your gaze and your brain connects the motion diagonally. This demonstrates that even motion can be misperceived when visual cues conflict. Scientists have cataloged hundreds of illusions like these. Consider the Necker cube, an outline of a cube that flips orientation, or Rubens' vase, an image that can look like a vase or two faces. In the famous rubber hand illusion, a person can be tricked into feeling a fake rubber hand is their own if it and their real hand are stroked together. Even our sense of body ownership can be an illusion. Other everyday illusions also exist. In the Ebbinghaus illusion, two identical circles look different sizes depending on the circles around them. And in the Ponzo illusion, two equal lines appear different lengths because of converging lines around them. In color vision, two identical gray squares can look different if one is surrounded by darker squares and the other by lighter ones. These all show that context and contrast shape what we see. There are also illusions in hearing. The classic Yanni versus Laurel audio clip makes some people hear Yanni and others Laurel, even though it's the same sound. It depends on which frequencies your brain emphasizes. We even have illusions of time. Stare at a bright color, then look away, and you'll see an after image in a complementary color. Our brain fills in gaps and sometimes misfires. Our other senses can be fooled as well. Pilots know that certain plane maneuvers trick their inner ear. A banking turn can feel like the plane is level, or even upside down. Astronauts in space become disoriented without gravity. These experiences teach them to trust instruments, not instincts. Similarly, sensations like temperature can be illusory. If you hold one hand near a hot object and the other hand in cooler air, the cooler hand can feel icy even if it's not that cold. Our brain exaggerates the contrast. In fact, even simple conditions reveal illusions. You have a blind spot on each retina where the optic nerve exits, yet you never see a hole in your vision because the brain fills it in seamlessly. If it can do that without you noticing, it shows how much of reality is constructed. Even our thinking can fool us. We have cognitive biases, mental shortcuts that sometimes mislead. For example, the Stroop effect shows a conflict between instinct and task. If you see the word red printed in blue ink, you want to read red, which slows you down saying blue. Your brain's automatic reading interfered with the observation task. The availability heuristic is another trick. If news about plane crash dominates headlines, you might irrationally overestimate how dangerous flying is, even though statistically driving is riskier. Your brain judges frequency by how easily examples come to mind. The gambler's fallacy is the mistaken belief that after a run of one outcome like heads on a coin, the other outcome is due. In reality, each coin flipped is independent, but our minds look for balance and randomness. The halo effect biases us if we let one trait influence another. If someone seems attractive or confident, we might assume they're also intelligent or trustworthy, without evidence. Marketers exploit this by using appealing celebrities. This shows how one impression can spill over into others. Confirmation bias makes us notice information that fits our beliefs and ignore the rest. For example, if you believe left-handed people are more creative, you'll recall left-handed artists and forget creative right-handed ones. This filtering shapes our view of facts in everyday life. Even memory can be an illusion. In one study, people who watched a car accident video were later asked if they saw a barn which wasn't there. Many who heard the suggestion remembered seeing a barn anyway. The wording planted a false memory. Our brains sometimes fill in details to make a coherent story, meaning memories can be mistaken. Other cognitive quirks include hindsight bias, I knew it all along after the fact, and the Dunning-Kruger effect, unskilled people overestimating their competence. Even subtle influences count. Studies show people primed with words related to aging walk slower afterward, unconsciously matching the concept. These are all mental illusions, hidden tricks our minds play on us. Even staring at something doesn't guarantee we notice it. In the famous invisible gorilla study, observers counting basketball passes completely missed a gorilla walking through the scene. They were so focused on one task that a big distraction got filtered out. Researchers have found many such cases. In another experiment, a man gave directions to a stranger on the street. Midway through, two people carrying a board walked between them, and the man swapped places with someone else. The stranger almost never noticed the switch. This change blindness means that unless we expect something, even large changes can go unseen. In daily life, it could mean missing a car while texting, or not noticing a friend wave while deep in thought. Descartes pointed out that your waking life could, in principle, be just like a vivid dream. In a dream you see, hear, and feel things as if they're real. You might solve puzzles or have conversations. Only when you wake up do you realize it was all a dream. For example, if you're convinced right now you're watching this on a screen, imagine the same scene happening in a dream. In the dream, you wouldn't know any different until you woke up. Because of this, Descartes concluded that sensory experience alone cannot guarantee truth. We only trust things that remain sure even if life itself were a dream. Taking doubt to the extreme, Descartes imagined a malicious demon who deceived him constantly. This demon could fabricate a perfectly consistent world of sights, sounds, and even mathematics. In modern terms, imagine a computer running a simulation so flawless it feels real. The movie The Matrix illustrates this idea. If your brain were hooked to a computer, all your experiences could be fake and you wouldn't know it. Some philosophers even suggest it's likely we're living in a simulation right now. But whether it's a demon or a machine, the question is the same. How can we ever be sure our experiences match an external reality? After doubting everything, Descartes found one fact he couldn't dispute. He was thinking. He realized that even if every belief about the world were false, the act of doubting meant there had to be a thinking entity. In his famous phrase, I think, therefore I am, this means you can doubt the existence of the world around you, but you cannot doubt the existence of the you that is doing the doubting. Your consciousness is the one thing that remains certain. This insight gave Descartes a firm foundation. It also sparked centuries of discussion about consciousness. What exactly is this I that thinks? Descartes didn't fully answer that, but he showed that at the very least, a thinking self must exist even in a dream or deception. All these puzzles teach us about reality and our brains. Scientists use illusions as tools to study perception. For example, analyzing the checker shadow illusion helped researchers understand how the brain corrects for lighting and shadows. These discoveries even improve technology. Camera and display algorithms often mimic human vision to make images look natural. More broadly, Descartes' method is a lesson in critical thinking. If our minds can be fooled so easily, we should question assumptions. In everyday life, this means verifying information. For instance, Eyewitness testimony is notoriously fallible, perception and memory can fail us, so courts often require corroborating evidence. In medicine, clinical trials are double-blind because just believing you're getting a treatment, the placebo effect, can produce real improvement. Scientists guard against biases, and we can too, by checking facts and seeking evidence. Even outside labs, a bit of skepticism helps. Before sharing a shocking news story, check multiple sources. Before trusting your intuition, ask others or do research. These habits echo Cartesian doubt, not to be cynical, but to find what's really true. Descartes' radical doubt led to the scientific method of testing and questioning, building knowledge on firmer ground. Ultimately, these ideas encourage curiosity. They remind us that reality is complex, and our minds are powerful. By understanding our brain's tricks, we become sharper thinkers. The next time something seems unbelievable, take a moment to question it. You'll think more clearly for it. So, is nothing real? We can't prove with absolute certainty that we aren't being deceived. But in practice, the world behaves consistently. Gravity makes apples fall predictably, and mathematics works the same everywhere. These dependable patterns give us reason to trust that a real world exists behind our perceptions. Descartes' radical doubt reminds us to stay curious and careful, but it's a tool for sharpening our minds, not a trap. Question boldly, and you'll find firmer ground in understanding. Ponder these illusions and biases as you go about your day. Our brains will always surprise us. What puzzles you the most? Have you ever been fooled by an illusion or a mental shortcut? Let us know in the comments. Your experiences might spark more insights. Remember, keep that healthy doubt alive, and keep exploring the curious world of your mind. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and share it. Support Philosora by subscribing and joining our curious community. Your support helps us make more content that makes you see the world differently. Check out our previous videos on optical illusions and cognitive biases. We appreciate every like, comment, and share. Until next time on Philosora, keep questioning and keep learning.